Okay, so we are here during the evening stream, and about 1 hour ago, Legendary Armor follow-up clarifications was brought to my attention. This was just posted on the forums. Let's see what this entails. Hi all, Catmander Neko here. I don't know a lot of Japanese, but isn't that just Catmander Cat? I'm the senior engineer who worked on the Legendary Armory. We've been keeping an eye on the discussion regarding the Legendary Armory since the blog post on Tuesday, and we wanted to respond to a few common questions. Slotted upgrades and infusions. Okay, I'll pause here for a second to say there's a lot of people, and these are probably the same people that believe in horoscopes. They think that when the Armory hits, all of their rune sigils and infusions will explode. And so they're like unslotting everything to prepare for it. Okay, so Neko wrote, upgrades and infusions and equipped gear and equipment templates, aka your regular armory, will remain in place. For items in your bank, shared and regular inventory, infusions and upgrades will be popped out to your inventory. Okay, so worst case scenario, just make sure you got some bag space. I would assume if your bags are full, they'll mail it to you, but just to be safe, why don't you just make sure you got some bag space? Slumbering Trinkets. Players will not be able to acquire new... Okay, so hold on, pause there. Slumbering Transcendence and Slumbering Conflux. So, really quickly, here's my character. I need to swap over to my ranger really quick. So Conflux is from World vs. World, and Transcendence is the amulet from PvP. Now, each of those items, when you first make them, they become Slumbering Conflux, which is a legendary item that has no graphic. And Slumbering Transcendence, same thing. When you upgrade them to just Conflux and just Transcendence, they each come with one of these orbs. The red one over here is Transcendence. You can see PvP in there. And the blue one is Conflux. You can see Stone Mist Castle in that one. So if you leave them as the Slumbering variant, there's no graphic. Maybe you don't like the graphic. If you upgrade them, then you get the balls. Now, once you go balls, you don't go back. That's a one-way trip. You can't turn them off. Okay, so that said, you could theoretically World versus World to get Slumbering Conflux, upgrade to Conflux, then World v World again to get Slumbering Conflux and have 2 rings. You could have 2, even though you effectively just made the same one twice. It's kind of cheesy, but you can do that. Or you could up until this point. Let's see if you still can. Players will not be able to acquire new Slumbering Trinkets after July 13th's release, and any existing Slumbering Trinkets will not be absorbed into the Legendary Armory. The recipes for these items will instead reward the Awakened Trinket. But what about current Slumbering Trinket owners? Okay, so again, this is really talking about the people who made Conflux twice so that they were wearing one on each hand. What about current Slumbering Trinket owners? We're going to be adding a vendor to the game that will allow you to upgrade any Slumbering Trinket to the fully awakened version. You'll be able to use the effect toggle in the equipment panel to disable the effects from the awakened versions if you choose. The vendor won't be in-game with the launch of Legendary Armory, but we plan to release it in a future update. World versus World player. Okay, hey, they thought about it. Conflux will no longer be unique, so players who currently use Awakened and Slumbering versions can continue to use their current equipment loadout. Good for them. Good job. They actually thought about something. What, to me, it was obvious that needed to be thought about. Good job that they thought about that. Well done. It would have been really easy to make a lot of World v World players really mad if they had not had that last sentence. That sentence was the de-aggro. That was the aggro drop. All right. Aurora Vision and Coalescence. Okay, so popping back to game for a second. Let me go here. Okay, so here's a template with no accessories, okay? Aurora, let's see, hold on. If you equip either Aurora Vision or Coalescence, just one of them, you get those. If you equip any 2 of them, they become lava lamp balls. They're kind of pretty. If you equip all 3 of them, you get this. I don't even like this. I don't know. It's like there's a spider web on my head. You get this thing, okay? And then, of course, if you equip all of those plus Conflux plus Transcendence, you get this whole galaxy brain thing above your head. All right, so now that you're all caught up, we wanted to make a toggle for the 3 legendary PvE trinkets, Aurora, Vision, and Coalescence. Unfortunately, these 3 items are set up differently from other items with visual effects, and giving them a toggle is a complex problem. I can accept that. There's no other item that really works the same way those do. Tell me more. That probably sounds silly. It's just a checkbox, right? A quick peek behind the curtain. These items are set up using a stacking buff, based on the number of equipped legendary trinkets to determine which visual effect to add to the character model, i.e., the effect is actually added by the buff, not the item. The toggles in the equipment panel control the visual effects on the items themselves. It's not changing which item is slotted, i.e., it's not just switching it to the slumbering version. I actually talked last week about I wondered if that's how they were set up, so that's interesting. This makes it much more difficult to convert them to the system where effects are on the item itself and can be toggled. Conflux and Transcendence previously got their effects from a buff, not the item. But because they were a non-stacking buff, we were able to move the effect to the item with a small amount of work and allow it to benefit from the toggle. Okay? Fixing this for Aurora, Vision, and Coalescence would require a rework of the visual effects for these items and how they're applied, which would likely leave some players unhappy as it would change their appearance, or a significant engineering investment to build a one-off solution. That investment isn't something we can commit to right now. Our engineering team is focused on End of Dragons, Alliances, and DirectX 11. Sad Steam noises. We understand how important this is to all of you, and that this isn't the response you were hoping for, but in the spirit of transparency, we wanted to let you know where things currently stand. I am happy that they're communicating. I am very happy they're communicating. I will say I'm one of the people that wants a way to turn this freaking thing, this thing off. I'm one of the people that wants a way to turn this off. I'm kind of bummed out that that's not coming anytime soon, because they don't have a, like, you know, oh, this will be ready in X months or X weeks or anything like that. Like, it's just basically saying this is on the back burner. I'm glad they're talking about it. I'm surprised they don't just... I mean, I don't know how their system's set up on the back end. I've worked in, you know, tech support for many years. I'm surprised they don't just make the checkbox for those items be... Well, no, hold on. I'm already quashing that idea in my head. I was about to say I'm surprised they don't just make the checkbox for those items simply remove a stack of the buff. You check it, you get a stack of the buff, the invisible buff, and then you uncheck it, you remove a stack of the buff. But if the checkbox is not on the items, but on the inventory slot itself, that wouldn't be possible. So yeah, I mean, I guess they would know better than I would, but I am kind of bummed out that we're going to be stuck with that for a while. But I'm glad they're talking. I'm glad they're talking. Eternity, Sunrise, and Twilight. We already answered this question in another thread. They did, and I went over this on stream yesterday, but we'll go over it again. For the sake of completeness, we'll hit it again here. Players that bound Eternity to their accounts prior to the release of the Legendary Armory will receive an unlock for both Sunrise and Twilight in their Legendary Armory. Unbound Eternities bought from the trading post and added to the Legendary Armory will also act the same way. However, Eternity granted from the new Mystic Forge recipe using token items will not grant the additional unlocks. Now, to be clear there, the way that it works is if you have a Twilight and you have a Sunrise and you add them to your Legendary Armory, you lose the items because they go into the Armory, and then you get a token back. You throw those 2 tokens, the Sun token and the Twilight token, you throw those in the Mystic Forge, and Eternity pops out, but it's already account bound to you. It's already account bound. You can't sell it. And then you can throw that in your Armory. Okay, so then you've got all 3 of the Great Swords. No one's really going to care about this unless they're a collector, I think, because there's no builds that need 2 greatsword. I don't know of a single build that uses double greatswords. I think there might have been a Mesmer one, but it's kind of memey. However, there was a brief concern where a lot of people were freaking out on the forums, as they often do, where they were under the impression that if they had Eternity in their possession, but they did not have Twilight and Sunrise in their possession because they had used it to forge the Eternity, then when the Armory hit, they would get Eternity in the Armory, but they would not get Twilight and Sunrise in the Armory, and only people that made future Eternities would get the 2 previous swords, forcing the collectors that already have Eternity to buy it a second time. And this is basically saying, no, it's fine, stop. This whole paragraph is saying, stop freaking out. It's equal treatment for everybody. You're all getting all 3 swords, even though some of you don't deserve it. So even though some of you don't deserve it, you're all going to get all 3 swords. So that is done. Generation 2 Precursor crafting limits. Players will be able to craft multiple... Whoa! Players will be able to craft multiple Generation 2 Precursors after the Legendary Armory releases. Meaning you can acquire multiples of Gen 2 Legendaries. You could make 2 Shining Blades. You could make 4 Shining Blades. You could make 4 Astralarias. Oh, wow, that is completely new news. So prior to this moment, the only way to get multiple of a Gen 2 Legendary, let's say Nevermore. Nevermore's the staff with the bird on it. The only way to get more than one is, like, you craft, well, you wouldn't even have to craft one, but let's say you crafted one, you would have to win a major PvP tournament. One of the grand prizes for some of the major PvP tournaments is a Legendary of your choice. So you could craft one, and each Gen 2 could only be crafted 1 time per account. And then if you won a tournament, let's say you pick Nevermore again because you're a psychopath, you could have 2 Nevermores. That was the only way I know of to do that on one account. Where's this information from? I'll drop a link in the chat. So that was the only way to do it before, and they're apparently changing it. Now, for some things, that's not going to matter. You know, you're not going to need 2 Exordiums. Unless you're a Mesmer, I guess. You're probably not going to need 2 Nevermores. And keep in mind, you could just... you could make a Astralaria, the axe, and you could then get an Ascended axe and just transmute it to look like another Astralaria if you just want the graphic. But if you actually want 2 axes because you want to be able to swap the stats on it, you know, and make your life a little easier, you can do that now. That's very interesting. But yeah, for anyone who's never crafted a Gen 2 Legendary, the way it was set up before, and I might be able to show you here. What was the Precursor? Okay, this'll do. Tigris is the Ascended Bow that gets upgraded into Chuka and Champawat. If you look down here at the bottom, it says you have already crafted this item. At this moment, any Generation 2 Precursor can only be crafted 1 time per account. And after that, that's it. And because a Generation 2 is account bound and the Precursor is account bound, that's why you could only craft each one 1 time. So now you could do more than 1 if you want to for some crazy shenanigans. Okay. Next up, Legendary Armory item caps. Each type of equipment has its own limit, and the limit is counted separately for every unique legendary item. For example, you can unlock a Perfected Envoy Light Helm and an Ardent Glorious Light Helm as well. Here's a complete list. Okay, so Perfected Envoy is the legendary raid armor, light armor helmet, and Ardent Glorious is, I believe, the PvP legendary light armor helmet, and then there's a World v World as well. Anyone who doesn't know, there's 3 sets, World v World, PvP, and raiding. There's 3 types of legendary armor, and they all have different graphics as well. So 2-hand weapons, you can have 2. Main hand exclusive weapons, 2. Offhand exclusive, 2. One-handed weapons you can use in either hand, you can have 4. In case you were weapon swapping from 2 swords to 2 swords. Armor, 1 per piece per armor class. Back items, 1. Trinkets, 1 except Conflux, which is 2. They're bending the rules on that one. Runes, 8. Runes, 7. That's your 6 normal pieces of armor plus your rebreather. And sigils, 8. So just to clarify that, so sigils, you use 1, 2, 3, 4, or 3, 4 if it's a 2-hander, and then 5, 6 on underwater, 7, 8 on your other underwater if you've got a class that has 2 underwater weapons and multiple weapon sets on land, because engineered elementalists can't weapon swap when they are in combat. And then the runes, you got your 6 armor pieces and then your rebreather. And I've said this in multiple tip videos, but I could slide it in again here. If your rebreather does not have the same rune as your armor, then the moment you go underwater, you lose your 6-piece rune bonus, because your rebreather replaces your hat. So if you don't have the same rune on your armor that you do on your rebreather, little tip for you, go ahead and fix that, because that means every time you go underwater, you're losing your 6-piece bonus. Let's see. And that is that is the end of it. So that's cool. So, yeah, to recap, they're saying, yeah, it's completely safe. You don't need to freak out and pull all the infusions and sigils and runes out of your gear. Slumbering Trinkets, you can, it's completely fine to still use 2 confluxes, but from now on, you don't have to go slumbering and then normal mode. You just go straight to normal mode, and you can choose which one you want to use. Aurora, Vision, and Coalescence will be visible for the foreseeable future. I don't know if or when they'll ever fix that. And yeah. I already have all 3 of those. I'm doing the new Legendary Amulet just to, experience the journey. When actually, wait, no, that's an amulet. So that would replace Transcendence. Shoot, I was about to say I would use that to replace one of them just to get rid of one layer of the graphic, but that's not even the same thing, because Aurora, Vision, Coalescence is 1 ring and 2 accessories, so never mind. Eternity, Sunrise, and Twilight, they said it's fine, calm down. Gen 2 Precursor crafting limits are being completely lifted if you wish to do anything with that. And they've clarified the legendary armor item caps, and honestly, they had already said this bit down here in the last blog post, so this is just repeating themselves. Let's see, someone in chat says, if you got all 3 legis, why not also give 3 generic legendary accessories?
The limit for armor pieces makes no sense with the example they give. Or is that just me?
It makes complete sense. They're saying, basically, you could have 1 full set of the light armor from raids, 1 full set of the light armor from PvP, 1 full set of the light armor from World v World, etc. If you get all 3 legendaries, why not also give 3 generic legendary accessories so you can equip however many you want and add generic legendaries to fill the rest, so you get the visual you want. Oh, this makes sense. It does, Asteroids, it does make sense. I do understand what you're saying. That would probably take less development time, but it would take development time. So I think basically it's triage. Right now they've got a lot of projects. End of Dragons, DirectX 11, and there was something else. What was the other thing? Alliances. Which, they haven't had a lot of time to work on alliances. They've only had 3 years for that one. So they're basically saying, here's what's happening, here's the honest truth, we're choosing not to direct any resources to that right now. And Steam release. No, they're not working on the Steam release right now. They're devoting everything to EOD and making the game better, and then they're gonna revisit the idea of a Steam release in the future. What I think it is that, and this is a guess, I want to clarify here, this is a guess. If let's say someone says, hey, Billy Bob, you're Billy Bob. Hey, Billy Bob, try out this free game. And you try it, and it's really laggy and crappy. And then 6 months later, they're like, hey, we fixed it. Come try it again. You're probably like, no, man, I'm good. So it's really important for that first impression to be good. So I think what they're trying to do is get the game as nice and tidy as possible before putting it on Steam, where a massive wave of people will try it for the first time all at once. So it's really going to be a matter of when do they feel the game is ready for that wave. Now, that obviously that's after End of Dragons, maybe after DirectX 11, maybe after some other stuff, I don't know. But yeah. Hey there, Dev here, Moke's got the right idea. Oh my gosh, Groucharoo is in the chat. I am so glad I was saying nice things. And I only ever do say nice things. Hello! How are you? What's up? You need a soda? Howdy farty, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Can we get a link on the webpage? Yeah, I posted it just a minute ago, but there it is again. But yeah. Yeah, I think that about covers it.